It takes a lot to run a church, and so in this episode of Practical Church Planting, we're going to share with you 7 software programs that we use at New City, some of which you may have heard of, some of which you haven't, that we would recommend for your church.
Welcome back to Practical Church Planting, where in 15 minutes or less, we'll give you practical tips, advice, and encouragement to help you plant and grow healthy churches. My name is Brian Androsian. Joining me today is Dylan Dodson, and today we're talking about 7 software programs that we recommend for your church.
Now, Brian's laughing because as we were trying to think of a title, software program sounds so old.
Yeah, what's the plural for software?
Yeah, softwares. I don't know.
Softwares.
So we went with software programs. Laugh at the title because we certainly are.
Things you need for your computer.
Yes, and just your church. Now, this is episode 124, which means we'll have this all in the show notes. So practicalplanting.com/episode 124, you can find links to of everything that we're talking about. So that's where you can go if you want to find out more about that. Now, we use more than 7 softwares,
yes,
but these are ones we use a lot. And so you might be familiar with some of these, maybe some of them, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
These we use that we'd share with you.
Yep.
First
Important
one
ones.
is QuickBooks, which we use for all of our accounting and financial stuff, which Brian runs. You probably are familiar with it. I feel like it's pretty popular, but I guess in our experience, I don't do too much with it. It seems to work well. What would you say?
It works well. Yeah, we use QuickBooks Online. If you're the one doing it, then you should already know pretty much everything about it. So it's hard to say much about it, but it's if you're really small and thinking maybe this isn't something that I super need, or we're meeting in my house right now, I don't know that I need accounting software or anything like that. You do. You do. Yeah. If you're meeting, you need to have things be legit. You can't just do things on your own. So QuickBooks is the way to go. There's other ones. That's the one I've experienced with. That's the one we've been using, and it's the industry standard. So
and I don't know cost-wise if it's relatively expensive or inexpensive compared to other ones, but I feel like this is one of those things where if you go with something really cheap, you're going to have to transfer it all later, and it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. And
it's not probably able to do everything you want to do. And so there are certain places where you want to try to save, but I wouldn't recommend something like this. I would pick something that's good and that works and that syncs with everything well, that other people know how to use, because if you're planting the church, you're likely not the only one going to be messing with it.
Yeah. And one thing about this, and with some of the other ones we'll mention, there are cheaper options that do similar things, but I think what you'll find with these is they have level of customer support and just things that you can find online to solve some of the issues, especially if this isn't necessarily your area of expertise, that's in the cheaper or, less expensive options, you're just really not going to find. And so when you run into issues, they're much easier to solve with kind of more household names than with kind of the cheaper options.
Yep. So QuickBooks we use for our accounting, financial stuff. Highly recommend it. Number 2 is Planning Center. Now, everyone always kind of debates what church software should they be using. Church Community Builder, Planning Center. I forget all the other ones, but there's a bunch of them.
But we've got the answer for you.
They're all constantly changing. We use Planning Center for everything, so not just like band, but we schedule all people who serve. All of our giving is put into Planning Center, then I guess put into QuickBooks. So whether it's in person or online, it eventually ends up in Planning Center, which then gets transferred over.
Yep.
Right? Is that how that works?
That is how it works.
So we use it. We've started using it for groups. We used it a little bit this summer, but this fall, because one thing we do as a side note is we actually track group attendance, and so it sends an automatic email to the group leader that all you have to do is check yes or no who was there.
Right.
And so we've used it for our building reservation. There's lots of different apps, I guess, within it. I guess there's some places some softwares that are cheaper than others, but this is one that's just been really user friendly. And I think sometimes what happens is people try to feel like, oh, what's the cheapest or what this or that. But if other people won't ever use it, it's not even helpful to have something. So you want to have something that people can actually, people who serve, they don't actually necessarily sign in and do all this stuff, but it's really easy to accept or decline. And so you want to pick something that's not just usable, but that other people will actually use. Because if you have this great program that's confusing, nobody wants to use it, kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, the thing I like about Planning Center is it's very multifunctional. So it helps you schedule. We do, you can see the orders of service on there. Like you said, we do all of our facility, whatever you call it, renting out the facility.
Yeah.
We allow our space to be used by different things during the week. So it can all be ran through there. And it basically solves a lot of issues with one software instead of having to get multiple softwares to run different things or to kind of figure out solutions for different things. It does it kind of all under one roof, which is
it has to take forever. There's a couple of things that it doesn't do that maybe Church Community Builder does do, but the ease of use makes it worth having, especially for a church plant. You don't need all the bells and whistles. Sometimes you go to a conference, all these things, you really don't need them.
Yeah.
Pick something that you can actually use and that isn't terrible.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you can select what you want and don't want,
it's
right?
very customizable.
Yeah, so if there's only a few features that you need, you can get those and pay less.
Yep.
And side note, if you do use it, PCO Mastermind Facebook group. That's what it's called, right?
Yep.
It's good for
and I
ask
don't know what it
questions and
is
solve problems.
for this one, but when we started 2.5 years ago as a church plant, they gave us 6 months for free.
Ooh.
I don't know that that's still a thing, but I guarantee if you reach out and say, hey, we're a church plant, they might give you a discount, at least for the first little bit.
Yeah.
So
good.
that's number 2. Number 3, we use something that's probably not as well known. It's called Nucleus. If you go to nucleus.church, it's put on by the Pro Church Tools guys.
Yeah.
It's a website builder. Now, I have a little bit of familiarity with WordPress, which is what we used when we started, but it just became a lot. Like, we don't have a web developer to have to organize it and to optimize it and to like get everything to look good. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
And since we don't have someone that's dedicated to that on our staff, we now use something called Nucleus. Now, we have it cheaper than you will now. I don't know what it costs now, because we were in the first batch of it, so it was like cheaper for life, which was ended up being a great decision for us.
Yes.
But I think there's tiers to it. But if you go to nucleus.church, it's pretty much a website builder. It's kind of like a plug and play website builder for churches, and it's super easy to use. There's some things that like is not quite as customizable, but it's worth the trade-off if you're like, I don't know how websites work. Like, it's super easy. Like, you don't have to have all this information. They make it easy to use. They also have their sermon builder or whatever
Sermon
they call
engine.
it now. Sermon engine, which is part of the cost now, so you don't have to pay someone else. It'll host your podcast, and if you do video, also all your video stuff. And so that's been really great. They came out with that earlier this year. But nucleus.church, it's for church websites, especially if you're a church plant, you don't know how it all works, you don't want to spend hours every week trying to keep your website updated and fast and optimized.
Yep.
Nucleus.church, there's different tiers for different things, but we've used it, when did they start? 18 months ago, I think, and it's been really great for us.
Yeah, especially if you don't have any experience in web development or web design, whatever, I don't think there's another option. Like, I mean, it's just so... Spend 10 minutes on it and you've learned it. Like, it's so simple.
And you want to keep your website up to date. I'm the one that does our website, which is not something I want to do forever.
Right.
But there's just like every week I go in there and I kind of change things around. It's super quick if I didn't change something. Like, I don't have to create all these posts and pages and like make sure the images work. Like, it saves a lot of time. Nucleus.church for your church website. We would recommend it.
And just one quick thing to add is this isn't like a WordPress template that is really user friendly. Like, it's designed for churches. So it's not just like it's easy, but it's kind of ugly kind of thing, but it looks great and it's designed for exactly what you need. So like, it's awesome.
And not only is it designed for churches, it's actual design mobile first. So it's really easy and to use and looks great on mobile devices.
Yeah, which is a big thing. Not always easy to do.
That's number 3. Number 4, also with Pro Church, is something called StoryTape.
Yep.
Now they have different tiers to this. As of this recording, we use the $99 a month tier. Now what StoryTape is it's they give you a bunch of stock footage. Now we don't necessarily use a ton of the stock footage. I mean, Brian puts our videos together, but we don't use a bunch of their stock footage.
Yeah.
The reason why we do this program is they have a social media program that's attached to it. They'll give you a post a day for a month.
Yeah.
Because we use Nucleus and we use StoryTape, they actually give you 15% discount, so we only pay $80 a month for it.
Nice.
We don't use the stock footage. We only use the social media program, and it is worth it. In fact, they could very easily charge more money just for that if they wanted to. What they do is they send you either pictures or videos, often both, and you can choose which one you want, for 30 days and captions. So you have 30 days worth of posts. We always talk about how important social media is. What's good for us is we incorporate it with the stuff we're already doing, and so we post. We don't post the same thing on all platforms. So some of them we'll use for Instagram or some we'll use for Facebook. But between that and our own stuff, we never run out of content. We have stuff every day. We could do multiple. We do a few times a day. We'll do a few days a week, we'll do 2 posts on Facebook. We'll try not to do too many more than that. But there's just great content, and it's engaging. And we always talk about how you don't just want to promote, because that gives me no reason to follow you on social media.
Yeah.
They do like one of the ones we used last week, and you can use them on any day you want because they give you everything like the week before the month, so you can plan it whatever. Like what's your favorite pizza topping or whatever. That one blew up for us last week. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So it's StoryTape, and now you can go on their website, StoryTape, but within that there's a social media program, and you can contact them if you have questions. It is awesome, especially if you're a church planner. I know that's kind of costly if you're starting out, but you actually can engage people online. We highly recommend it.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's both Nucleus and StoryTape. You're filling roles that are almost like the roles that you need to hire someone for. Like you need a communicator or a social media person if you can't do that. You need a web designer if you can't do that. And these are things that most church planners can't afford to hire for. Right. That can really be done really cheaply and really good quality.
Yeah, that's what's great about it is they don't just like tell you what to post, but they give you a video or an image.
Yeah.
and they give you like a text that goes with it. Now, I oftentimes will kind of alter the text, but at least it gives you something to start with.
Yep.
And it gives you something to have post from the day one that's not just come to this event.
Yep.
It makes it really easy. And if you want to engage people online, which we are 100% big fans of here at Practical Church Planning, do it. And talk to them. Story Tape is what it's called, with Pro Church tools as well. We started using them June, and it's been really, really great, really helpful. So.
Yeah. And side note, it also comes with it if you do want to use your stock footage. We use it some, not a ton, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's you should be paying a lot more for it than they charge. It's really good.
They do a lot of great stuff. So just check out Pro Church tools in general, but it's Nucleus.church and Story Tape, two things that we use from them.
Yep.
The next one, number 5, not as exciting, but what we use is called Zoom. It's our online meeting software, so you can have staff meetings, elder meetings, meeting with people.
Yeah.
We have the basic. It's super cheap. You can even record it. So like the podcast other podcasts, church leadership podcast that I do, I use that on there.
Mm-hmm.
If you need an online meeting platform, I think with the one we have right now, we pay $15 a month, which is nothing. If you need I recommend like having something that you can meet with people with. That's not just like FaceTime.
Yeah.
It's not connected to your phone number or anything like that. It's an easy thing to email out. But we've used it again. Not everyone can we did it today. One of our staff people couldn't make staff meeting, so we pulled up a computer. They had it. I use it for a lot of meetings. Sometimes you can't always meet with people face to face. So zoom.us. If you just Google Zoom, it'll be the first one. It's like, you're like, what about Skype? It's Skype, but it's better quality.
Yeah.
And so Zoom is what we use.
Yeah, we use it. So we use it way more than I would have ever thought that we would. Like if I would have heard this when I first came on board and be like, yeah, I get why you need it, but how often are we really going to use it? But we use it all the time. And we have one login that everyone's able to use. And so all staff is able to use it when they need. And it's so much more convenient than having to, obviously we want to meet with people in person when possible, but there's just sometimes when it's not. And to be able to have meetings outside of that is just, it's necessary.
And you can pay more to get different individual logins, whatever, but I use it every other week to meet with our management team. So Zoom, it's an online meeting software program, and it works great. Number 6, this one you might be familiar with, is ProPresenter. Mm-hmm. So it is what we use, I don't know what you call it, for all of our screens on Sundays.
Presentation software.
There you go. Now, there's a few different ones of these. I mean, you could think PowerPoint, which most people don't use much anymore, but there's even other ones. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about ProPresenter, unlike some of these other ones, like every single one we've actually told you so far, actually, on this is the only one of the 7 that is not a monthly cost. It's a one-time thing. You pay for it. I don't know what the running cost is for the newest edition, but I think once you pay for it once, every time they give you a new edition, you get it for free.
I think something like that.
So it's like, I don't remember what we paid initially a couple years ago. It was like $500, something like that. Not cheap, but it's a one-time thing. It is just the best, and especially once you learn how to use it, it's the most user-friendly. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't have issues. Like this, kind of like with the financial thing, it's not something that you want to like cheap out on. You want something that's good, because the other thing too is if you start with something cheaper and then you have to get ProPresenter later, you got to relearn how to do it. You got to train all your people that serve in production how to use it. We've used it from the beginning. I don't know, no issues. Maybe it's not the right thing to say, but like it works seamlessly with because it's designed for churches. Yeah. So highly recommend ProPresenter.
Yeah, this is a question that's if you're in like church Facebook groups, question that's asked kind of a lot is this versus.
It's surprising to me.
It is, versus other software. And it is hard because, just to be totally transparent, every church I've been with has used ProPresenter, so I don't have a whole lot of like this versus that comparison. But just from everything I've read of people that do, and from my own experience, it's like, why even ask? I mean, like that sounds mean, but like it's like it's the standard. Like it is the best that there is, and like you said, it's a hefty upfront cost, sort of. I mean, I guess, but to not have to continue to pay for it, to have something that is going to work and is going to be able to handle pretty much anything. I mean, it'll handle what your computer can handle. Right. Like if your computer can handle it,
and it's so easy to customize. Like if you're listening to this, you probably don't use PowerPoint. Right. But if you do, I mean, that's a lot of work to have to make slides every single week. Totally. It's much quicker to make them on ProPresenter or something like that. And the good thing is, as you grow and as you add more screens or whatever, even more services, even multiple locations, you still use ProPresenter. It can grow with you, so you have to start over. Yeah, so. And there's if you've never used it and think it's just like a presentation software, I know that's what I called it, but there's so much more to it that you can do, and it just makes your life so much easier as you grow. Yeah, I mean, you can do things like type your Bible verse, and it gives you you don't have to type them into the screens, like it has them all. Like you can import Bibles into it and different translations. So, ProPresenter is what we would recommend for your presentation plus more software. Yeah. And then lastly, the seventh thing that I have no idea how it works is Adobe Suite, which Brian uses for our videos. Yeah. So Adobe, I mean, there's different
Premiere Pro is what you use for videos. If you want to do graphics, there's Photoshop and Illustrator, and if you want to get crazy, there's After Effects. But pretty much just put them all under that umbrella, because if you want to do things on a creative level that are more than just kind of the basics, it's what you need. Like there's different options that are kind of maybe a little bit cheaper, but it's just like the others. They're just not as good. Like if you're listening to this and you just want to do, quick cuts and movies, if you want to record your sermons and just cut out the beginning and ends, then iMovie works for that. If you're just doing basic, just cutting, then iMovie works, or Canva. We've done about free things. Canva works for graphic design if you just want to do very basic stuff. But if you're at the point where you like doing, or you want to do things that are a little more advanced or want to be a little more creative with it, it's the route to go. It works with both Windows and Mac. Like Adobe is it's the standard. I say this for everyone. It's the best that there is out there.
You could say Adobe's pretty sweet.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. So those are 7 software programs that we use at New City Church. Again, practicalplanting.com/episode 124. Those are the links for all these things. You can ask the people that run these softwares more about them.
Yeah.
We use them. We love them. Thanks for being with us. We'll be with you next time on Practical Church Planting. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Practical Church Planting. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Practical Planting, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, make sure you like or subscribe or do whatever it's telling you to do or should do on that platform.
And hey, if you are so tired of looking at our ugly faces, but you're not tired of listening to our beautiful voices, then you can find our podcast if you just search Practical Church Planting on iTunes or Google Play. Make sure not to just find it, not just to listen, but to subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. Brian, tell them to subscribe.
Subscribe.
See you next time.